Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida, well, guess what? If you try to register to vote as a convicted felon, you go to jail. If you attempt to vote as a convicted felon, you go to jail. He has this roundup posse organized by the state to literally raid homes. We've shown it right here on Indisputable. And they conveniently have a camera on standby to make sure these things are recorded. But he figured out a way to make sure Donald Trump, who resides in Florida as his legal place of residence, well, guess what? Trump can still vote. With millions watching and many people benefiting from this program called Indisputable, we just need 1% of the viewers to become a paid member so we can continue to bring this content to you. Now back to the show. Put up the picture full mass, I will explain. Per the AP, following the Donald Trump's felony conviction of falsifying business records in the hush money trial, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis said Trump has not lost his voting rights in the state. Florida is a state notorious for restricting the voting rights of people with felony convictions. In Trump's case, New York law only removes the right to vote for people convicted of felonies when they are incarcerated. This is a New York standard, okay? Once they are out of prison, their rights are automatically restored, even if they are on parole. That is per a 2021 law passed by the state's Democratic legislature. And a form of that law was attempted in the state of Florida and opposed by who? Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis opposed such, let's just say, left-leaning measures. However, both Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis are now glorifying in this left-leaning policy that provides an avenue with the right argument and contextualization that Donald Trump can still vote in the Florida election, which, by the way, eliminates the legal challenge that Trump cannot be on the ballot in Florida, because the legal challenge statutorily says if you are a convicted felon and unable to vote in the state of Florida, guess what? You do not have ballot access. So while the headline is speaking to Trump's access to voting in Florida, the legal ramification is that DeSantis has a stronger case to eliminate a legal challenge that Trump does not have the right of ballot access under felony conviction. Let's put it up. Governor DeSantis stated on X that Trump retains his voting rights in Florida as rights are not removed in the state unless stripped in the convicting jurisdiction. He added that the New York prosecution of Trump is absurd and would easily qualify for restoration of rights by the Florida Clemency Board. So in other words, he had another way to do it if he wanted to. DeSantis emphasized that Trump's vote in November will be one of many showing Florida's solid Republican stance. You still saying the word Republican, sir? That'll get you in trouble in the circles you run in. Republican? Donald Trump Jr. told you there is no Republican Party anymore. It's only MAGA now. Sir, you need to get with the program here. There's more. So as previously reported, Trump became the first former president to be convicted of felony crimes, as a New York jury found him guilty. A New York jury of American citizens. Another jury called a grand jury of American citizens indicted him. But this jury found him guilty of all 34 counts, falsifying business records to influence the 2016 election through hush money payments to adult film star Stormy Daniels. They deliberated for 9.5 hours. The conviction and even imprisonment would not bar Trump from continuing his pursuit of the White House, according to most. The Republican National Convention, which will open 4 days after his July 11th sentencing, that's his date, in New York, adopted rules last year that didn't include any specific provisions if its presumptive nominee is convicted of a crime. Now, I'm going to break this down again because I disagree with many of the legal scholars who provide this context and this language of the Constitution to say, well, all you have to be is 35 years of age, live in the United States of America 14 years, be a natural born citizen. That's according to the Constitution. Well, that is correct. The Constitution provides your general framework for the exercising of this right to run for president. However, in the United States of America, the Supreme Court has upheld that states are able to make reasonable laws and statutes that govern the accessibility of these particular rights. For example, your right to vote is protected by the US Constitution. However, states have the authority to pass statutes in order to, let's just say, make it safer for people, as they would call it. You have to present ID. 25, 30 years ago, that was not the case. You have to register to vote, but they don't like the registry for right to bear arms. You see, these are state laws that are able to be implemented even though the Constitution does not say anything about these state laws. You have the right to bear arms. Your right to bear arms, once again, is contextualized by statute per state. Some states allow you to bear arms starting at 12 years of age. Some states mandate that it is the age of majority before you can do so. Each state is a little bit different. Some states have open carry, other states require permitting. So this, once again, statutorily defined by the state. So all of these other rights are statutorily defined by the state. However, the right to run for president cannot be statutorily defined. The same Constitution that gave you those rights gave you the right to run for president. All right. Obviously, there will be an update. We'll see if the Supreme Court will take this case. They have really no jurisdiction to, but they may. All right, Jackson, thoughts here?
Yeah, it's just amazing to me how blatantly obvious it is that the Republican Party has no plan outside of authoritarianism. Because on the one hand, they've pitted their entire future on a man who's 80, who was impeached twice, who just lost those civil cases, who just got 34 felonies, has these other criminal cases pending that won't happen until after the election. But depending on how that goes, he ain't gonna win those criminal trials either. A guy who has completely morphed the Republican Party into MAGA Central, nothing else. But then on the other side of that same coin, if Donald Trump loses the election, all of these same politicians are going to throw him under the bus, gladly so, happily so, because if they don't, then they'll have to take blame. And you know that Republicans aren't really about personal responsibility in any way, shape, or form. So it's like you're willing to bend the rules and let Donald Trump still vote and go through all this trouble to make this happen for what? You could have just picked another candidate because all of y'all want the exact same policies. So it's just like, we're really going into some pretty dangerous territory because what plan do they really have other than do what I say just because I say it? You know,
you make a great point. They don't have another plan. There is no plan B. And Donald Trump, through his recklessness and obviously his ego, he has been able to effectively destroy the platform of the Republican Party. And listen, you guys allowed him to do this. You're getting what you deserve. Hopefully he will not be victorious in a presidential bid.